Hey, hey, how's it going? I hope you're having a fabulous day. I certainly am today. The sun is shining, it's lovely. I'm wearing a fun new dress that I just got. I ordered it online and I've never really done that before. I'm just starting to order clothes online and it actually works. Who knew? I like this dress particularly because it's like a mullet dress, you know, the one that's like short in the front and long in the back, and it feels really fun. Anyways, enough about the wardrobe. Today I wanted to connect with you. I wanted to chat a little bit about something that I wish I had learned 30 years ago. No lie. So here's the thing. I recently read a book by Dr. Kristin Neff called Self-Compassion. Pretty self-explanatory, and that is the thing that I wish I had learned, self-compassion. So we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between self-esteem and self-compassion. I grew up in the 80s when self-esteem was all the rage. I feel like everywhere you turned there was some workshop to help especially girls sort of be able to cultivate more self-esteem. And I leaned into that really hard. I really started to pursue things full force. I did all the things, in fact, trying out for school teams, excelling at that, working really hard in school, applying for scholarships. I was even high school valedictorian, and I pushed and pushed and pushed so hard that eventually in my early 20s I ended up with depression because I was doing all the things, but it seemed like no matter how much I accomplished or achieved, it still sort of felt empty inside. In fact, I remember after my high school graduation, after our formal, our prom, I even sat in my car crying, thinking to myself, really? Like, I achieved at a really high level, and is this all there is? Is this what everybody talks about and reminisces about? It didn't feel the way I thought it was going to feel. And so that's where self-esteem got me, this idea of cultivating a sense of worthiness based on accomplishing things. Now, Dr. Neff sort of flips the script here with all of her research about self-compassion. And she says that self-compassion picks us up when self-esteem lets us down. And the reason for that is that self-compassion is really more all-encompassing. And three things in particular stand out. There are three components of self-compassion that really come through for us. The first one is mindfulness. So when we're practicing self-compassion, we're tuning into what's going on in the moment, and we're practicing being present with what's true for us. The second thing that self-compassion accounts for is our common humanity. So when we really over-identify with either reaching for certain goals or our failures when we don't quite get there, we can start to feel isolated, like we're the only one. And so self-compassion encourages us to remember that everybody suffers. Everybody is trying really hard, trying to be good, and often it doesn't always come out the way that we planned. And that's just part of life, right? So this ability to tap into our sense of common humanity rather than feeling alone in our struggle, super important. And then the last piece is self-kindness. And the way that I started to practice this was when I realized that the way that I would speak to a friend in my circumstance was quite different than the way that I would speak to myself. So if I went after a goal, whether it was applying for a job or I can't think of something else right off the top of my head right now, but whatever it might be, reaching for a goal and not making it, instead of judging ourselves and becoming critical and getting into that woulda, shoulda, coulda spiral, and basically just beating ourselves up for not being as good as we're trying to be, instead we can meet ourselves where we are. We can recognize our common suffering, and we can choose to be kind to ourselves. We can treat ourselves the way we would a good friend. And so today I invite you to consider this notion of self-compassion and see if you can start to practice it in tiny little ways. It's great to start off just by noticing when you're being hard on yourself and just flipping the script in those moments. So hearing that voice in your head, recognizing that you're judging yourself, and then just calling a little time out, recognizing that that's what's going on. If you want to lean into this a little bit more fully, then I invite you to continue to follow me into next week. I believe maybe Monday or Tuesday is when I'm going to very excitedly relaunch Breathing Room, which is going to be a 5-day free challenge to help you start to tune into self-care in a real way. Self-compassion is a part of that. Mindfulness is a part of that. And being where you are, checking in with your breath is a part of that. So you can follow my page, Bridget Deneen, in order to see when that drops, and also message me if you're curious about it. So if you liked this video, then I would love it if you would like it below. If anything stood out to you, if anything resonated, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Let me know what's speaking to you. And finally, if there's someone in your life that you feel could use this message, I would be ever so grateful if you would share this video with them. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.